welcome to Mike's Trains, and thanks for joining me for another video. This video here, we're going to start putting everything together. I gave you an idea last week of how this is all going to kind of look. Well, here you can see it. I have my poles installed here, my uprights. They're all put in. I actually did some graffiti on these. Let's see if I can give you a look at that. Okay, so there's a little bit of the graffiti that you can see. There's a little bit right here. Got some over here. I didn't go crazy with it, just a little bit, just to say there's some in there. And like I said, they're all in there. The platforms are now installed. As you can see, there's no wires sticking out where they shouldn't be. So these have all been glued down and installed. This is exactly how this whole station is going to sit. You can see the I-beams are all in here. They're all in, they're all painted. But this station here is not down to stay because I still got a lot of work to do underneath here. So that's kind of what I'm going to tackle now. Between the platforms over here, I want to take care of this area in here and get everything done underneath here. So all this track I want to ballast from maybe right here over to the same part out on the other side of the roadway here, so that the underneath here is all ballasted, and then I can tackle the rest out here when I'm ready for it. And the same with the rest of the tracks underneath here. I have to get all of that done, and then I can, once that's all done, I can put this roadway back in and drop the wires down. The wires are still sitting back here. See, I still have the wires here, and I have there's 3 sets of wires. There's 2 sets that have to go down in the back side against the wall, and then 1 set that goes down the center of this middle platform here. I don't want to run any of that down through until the station is in to stay. So let me pull up the station and I'll show you kind of what needs to get done. Okay, so with the train station out of the way, you can kind of see what's going on down here. These are in here and all installed, these 2 here. This one, this last one, you can see it's split in the middle, and I have 2 of the columns here. So what it is the lower level underneath the train station sits right between these 2, and these columns go right underneath that lower level. It works out almost perfectly, so that the lower level sits on top of these columns, and this gives the illusion that it goes through that lower level, and it adds to the support level of what goes on with the train station. I like how it looks, and this is how it's going to stay. So what needs to get done now is I need all this area from here, in between here, all the way across, complete, before I can install the train station to stay. So why don't we get started on getting that done. And the first thing I want to do is I want to paint all of these areas here. I want to paint these all brown. One uniform brown color all the way across in here, and then I also want to paint a little bit down in this area here, because that's going to get ballast and some dirt work and stuff. So why don't we get started with that. Alright, so I'm going to start over in this area over here. We're going to start, I want to paint all this area, and all I'm using is just an old can of brown paint. This one's called Nutmeg. It's satin. And then the other thing I have is a small cup of water. And the water, what I'll do is I dip the brush in the water, dip it in the paint. You can go the other way too. And then I just start brushing it on. And the water thins the paint down just a little bit, so that it'll fill all the holes and nooks and crannies of the surface I'm painting. Yeah, and I think that's where we're going to end. I'm going to keep that like that, and then now we can start putting the dirt down in between here and get all this area started. So let me get rid of these brushes, and then we'll do a little bit more. I'm not even going to wait for this to dry. There's no need to. So what I'm going to use, I have regular Elmer's white glue, and I'm going to cover this area with it. This isn't coming out quite fast enough. There we go. I know that looks like a lot, but it's fine. That's exactly what we want. Now we have our cup of water still, and I have a different paintbrush. So I'm going to dip the brush in the water, and then I'm going to come over to the glue, and we're just going to wet down this whole area with the mixture of paint and glue and just all kinds of messy nonsense. And we put the water on the brush so that it thins the glue down and allows it to get into everywhere where it needs to be. Okay, so now that's all covered in glue, let's get rid of our water and our brushes. And by the way, these brushes will clean out just fine in some soapy water in the sink. All the glue will come out, not a problem. So now we need to get the dirt on there. And what I have is I have a bucket of dirt from my backyard that looks kind of like this. Alright, it's getting kind of low. Usually I've got this almost full. And what I do is I dig it up and I'll let it sit and fill up the bucket here. I'll let it sit in the garage for a few months and dry out. And then I'll sift it down to get everything big out of it. And this is what I end up with. And I've been doing this for a long time, this dirt stuff, and it works really well. So I'm just going to run a whole bunch of this all down in here. Now I'm just kind of dropping it in there. Now I'm going to get me a dry brush. Okay, so now I have a small brush. I have a foam brush here. They work, but I prefer the bristle brushes, the cheap ones you get, you know, 4 or 5 in a pack for a couple bucks. They seem to spread this a little bit better, but this is what all we're doing. Just get this spread around and cover up all the glue and the dirt and the mess that we just made with the glue. Alright, so that's all of the base for the ground in there now. Underneath the bridge here, we're not going to really do a whole bunch more for the ground. I mean, there's no point in planting grass and, you know, doing all that kind of thing. I may do some small weeds here or there around the poles, but for the most part, we're going to call that done. Now out here is another story, and there's something else I have to put in here that I haven't shown you yet. The only thing I want to do is I want to make sure I get all these lines of, I want everything even. Now there's one more thing that has to get put in here that I haven't shown yet, and what that is this. This is something I made. It goes along with that back wall back there, and this is going to be a separating wall that goes right here between the platforms and the yard area. And all I need to do, this is something I made out of balsa wood that I had some scraps of laying around. It's not weathered yet, but I think it looks pretty good the way it is. And what I did was I drilled holes and I added some nails into it, and then I'm going to drill some corresponding holes in the wood in my base here, and I'm just going to set this down in, and then that's going to give me a separating factor for the between the platforms here and the work area that's going to go over here. So why don't I get that drilled right now, and then we'll get this set into place. Now to get this drilled, to mark it, all I'm going to do is I got to find my point exactly where I want it. And I want it to start at the end of this platform, this last platform, and I want it to be in the center between this last set of posts over here, between this last set of posts and the platform. I want to center it up in between there. So now I just need a marker, and then we can put some marks where the holes I'm going to drill go, and then we can drill it and set that right into place, and that'll be done. Okay, so there's the wall put in. Very quick and easy. Just 3 holes. Now I'm a little high on this side. I'm not going to worry about it. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to bring some of this dirt down to that end, and we'll just fill in behind like that. Just like that. And then that's that. So now that's all in. Now the idea I had talked about for out here that I had, and this is what I'm going to do, I've thought about it a lot, is I have this building right here. I bought this for another purpose, and I'll have to get another one for that purpose. But what's going to happen is this is going to go out here, like that. And then I'm going to make a couple of bins right here, here, and here, wide ones. And then those are going to be a ballast storage area. And I also want to put railroad ties stored out there as well. And then I have some machinery. I have a backhoe that's going to go in here, and some other machinery, and we'll put some workers and things like that in there, and that'll finish off this little area nicely. So that's how that's going to go. So the next thing to do before we can put the train station on is to ballast all of this and these tracks in here. That all has to get ballasted, but I think we'll tackle that in a different next week's video, because I don't really have time to get into any more than that, and we're gonna leave it at that for this week. So I think for now, I think we're gonna call this video done. Didn't do as much as I'd like to, but we will get into more for sure. So stay tuned. There is more to come, lots more. Now we're getting into the very big, all the detail stuff, and that's what I've been waiting for. This is the part I enjoy more than anything else. So, you know, keep watching, hang with me. It's all going to get done. So anyway, I think that's going to be it for this week. You can see the starting area of this work area here. We've got our wall in here. And like I showed you, I drilled holes through the up into the bottom, and I put some finish nails up in there, and then I drilled corresponding holes in here, and it just sets in. This can actually lift out anytime I want. But what that does is it separates this area from this area, and that's what I was looking to do. So, like it or not, this is how it's going, and I think we're doing fairly well. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Love to have you along for the ride. Lots more to come. So until next week, happy modeling.